From the Rabotat Records studio, introducing Rabotat Radio, an open forum bringing together artists from our community to yours to discuss music, food, film, and everything in between. My name is Madame Defer, and I'm co-founder of Rabotat. For our fourth episode of the pod, we take a look back to May 2021 and our week-long trip high up in Cloudcroft, New Mexico for a Nikki Manos recording session. Ironfist and I were lucky enough that week to be joined by the untouchable Dave Austin, member of Just Whiskey and future member of Melatonin Lotion. In our longest show yet, we sat down with Dave to talk about his lifelong passion for music, the realities of touring, and even sharing a little love for the Grateful Dead. We also introduced our new podcast game, Watched or Wasted. So get your shot glasses ready, and let's dive in. So this is technically the first Rabotat Radio episode that we're doing with another, person, like in person.
Are we recording now?
We are recording,
okay.
Technically.
And so you're the sexiest person that we've ever interviewed in person.
On a side note.
You're also the most ugly person that we've ever interviewed in person.
It's usually my review of how things go for me.
Yeah.
So on that note, guys, this is Dave Austin. Very charming.
I'm the best and the worst. Here we go.
Dave's Cafe. We might talk some band name ideas tonight. We might do some fun talking about some upcoming projects, and then I think we're gonna probably cap off with a game. Yeah. We all got a shot.
Okay.
You got a shot. Who's doing the cheers?
Oh, do I have to stand up?
No.
Okay.
You should Nick, I think you should do the cheers.
Cheers to family.
Yeah, we can do that.
Cheers.
So if we are going to use this in the podcast, Dave and I were roommates for 2 or 3 years.
Is it only 2 or 3 years? It feels like 30.
Hey, Dave, actually, on a side note, I don't think I've ever asked you. Did you live on campus?
It was cheaper, because this is how Boston's logic works. It was cheaper for me as a 18-year-old kid to get an apartment right behind Fenway Park than to live in the Berkeley dorm room.
That's crazy. It's been how long since you guys met?
11 years.
11 years. Shit. Yeah.
11 years. 'Cause we met in 2010. Like the 4th day of school.
Yeah, I don't remember even why. Were we with somebody that knew you?
We have a buddy named Uriel Sage. I was in his, what do they call that thing? What do they call that? The like peer group? In the introduction.
Oh, the peer group. Really? That's how y'all met?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
First time I met him, he was playing Roses on the piano.
Okay.
From Outkast.
That's fantastic.
Like stride piano, and he was wearing a leather jacket and all shades.
Was it like in front of a bunch of people? It was like one of those like pianos they had in like the hallway or some shit?
In the classroom.
Oh, okay. So he was that
peer group.
He was that guy who was like, I got a song. That intro thing that like, oh
He
god.
was wearing sunglasses and a leather jacket.
Of course he was.
Well, when we started school, it was in January. Yeah, I think both stopped what we were doing with our normal life, and then went out there. I had never really ridden subways or anything. I was like brand new to that, so that world.
That was really overwhelming at first.
Yeah.
I like didn't do it for the longest time. I avoided it.
Really?
Yeah, so then we moved in like 2011.
Yeah.
I remember my room in that Mount Hood apartment. It was the smallest fucking room I've ever seen in my life, and it had a hole in the wall that led to the outside, like the size of like maybe a number 2 pencil.
Oh dear.
And it went right to the outside. So like I remember, and it was right where the head of my bed was. Like in the middle of winter, we'd all have our space heaters. It was like God was taking a straw of cold air. It's going like right to your forehead.
I don't
Awful, dude.
I don't remember that. That sounds really terrible. I had the biggest room in the apartment.
You had a huge room. Yeah.
I did. It was the living room, I think, at one point, and then somehow the living room that we used was the living room. Like it was like converted or something. I don't know. Boston's a great city, though.
Oh, fun.
We've all kind of moved on. Actually, Dave, do you want to I think your kind of path, like how you got out of Boston and where you ended up now, has kind of like set you up where you're kind of like at today, and that's a big important thing. So
yeah, like what happened since
like
Berserkly?
Yeah.
Shit, man, I don't know. A lot has happened. So I stuck, when y'all went to Valencia, I stuck around Boston for another year and a half, I guess. Only because I couldn't afford to leave yet. I just kept working my day gig at Apple, and then I was fronting the band Dave Austin the Sound. I mean, yeah, dude, I don't know. I was a frontman, so I did the club scene around Boston. We did, my first time ever touring was with that band, long tour and just on the road in general. I mean, we spent about a month on the road. And I think the coolest thing about that project for me was that like that was an opportunity to tour where making an income wasn't a priority, which is something I think more musicians need to do. You have to like the romance of the road before you like the road as a means of income.
I don't know. When I left school, I was so aspirational. I feel like we all feel that way, especially when you're kind of, you know, you're fronting a band too.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, you have like a lot of the rose-colored glasses, like what life's gonna be like. Letting that glass shatter, I think, is really important. Unless you're lucky enough to get some A-list super cushy gig out of college, which we all know people who did. I don't know how long those lasted after college, but I know they were there. Most people I know who are still doing it had to cut their teeth and really prove themselves because the music industry doesn't fucking owe you anything. So like I think touring with the sound and working with the sound really, it proved to me that I like to do it, and it taught me how to run in a band and work within a band. You know, you learn a lot when you play for two people for an hour and a half, like in the middle of fucking nowhere. Like I remember we played a show in Knoxville and there were literally, I think, it was the other band we were on tour with in the room. We were like, cool, we drove 13 hours to play here. Sick. Yeah. But like, of course there were, because no one knew who the fuck we were. But like, you have this expectation, like, people are just gonna fucking be there, man. They're just gonna show up because like, we're good. You know what I mean? And like, that's such horse shit. Like, you learn about like the amount of legwork and what it takes to really work and put in the fucking time. And like, that's the thing, man.
You also learned, when you were doing that, I think, because you planned the tour, right?
Largely. It was a very DIY thing. We were working with a promotion company based out of Boston. I totally don't remember the name of the company. And that was their idea to put us on tour, and they had the anchor dates at South by Southwest, which is what inspired the tour. But then a lot of it came down to me and Emily, and then the other band really putting our heads together.
I feel like you've taken the reins on everything you've done, but a part of that is because you were a front man, and now you've had a self-made career that you've been working on in Nashville for how many years now?
About 6 years. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess when you're any kind of freelance, a lot of the heavy lifting does come down to you because you're self-employed. But the thing about the way I like to work, and I think the way y'all like to work, and I think the way that Nashville works, if you let it, is that it's all based on community. Like, yes, it's individual legwork, but it truly takes a village. Like, no part of my career do I ever want to say that like it was me lifting up. Like, it was like there's so many times where it was like a
team effort.
Yeah, like no matter, even if it is a solo project or a solo idea. Yeah, I think there's always, but I think in groups there is always that one person who's sort of pushing the engine along. That has to happen. There's always that one person. I don't know. I felt this way in high school a lot, where it was like, playing in high school bands was never like a casual thing for me, because I was like, no, this is like what I'm going to fucking do for my life.
Yeah. So
like it became frustrating. People were like, oh, well, like I kind of want to like go to this lacrosse camp for 2 weeks. It's like, well, fuck you, man. Aren't you serious about the band? You're like fucking 15. Like, go to lacrosse camp. But like, it's like,
yeah, I was the same way.
Yeah, but like it's so frustrating when you're always just like, God, like I'm pushing this thing up a hill, and it can be tough. It's exhausting.
Did you read music before you went to Berkeley?
Did I what?
Did you read music?
I knew I knew what the letters were, because I took like music theory in high school, and I took like some piano lessons. Okay,
but if like someone were to put like a guitar piece in front of you.
Vague, a little bit, because I had a panic moment in high school when I didn't know what I knew I wanted to go to college, but then I didn't, and then I was like, fuck, what am I gonna do for music? And every program I looked at was like, North Texas was like jazz guitar. I was like, I hate jazz. Sweet. And then, because you had to learn, like, you had to play like Autumn Leaves or All Blues or something.
You're playing in the big band.
Yeah, that's what you go to North Texas for. And then another one I looked into was like classical guitar. I was like, okay, I think I could teach myself classical guitar in like 3 months. So I bought a nylon and convinced myself that's what I had to do, and then hated it.
Well, actually, though, Dave is from Texas, so.
I don't know, Texas. I mean, East Texas. I don't know if West Texas is probably deep south. Like, if you're from Tyler or Henderson or some shit, you're deep south.
Are you deep in the heart of Texas?
There it is. if you were to take a fucking snapshot from my house, like my area growing up, it could have been any fucking town in America. You know what I mean?
That's really interesting. And also because you weren't just from Texas, you also spent so much time in New York, which are completely different. It's like such a yin and yang. Do you feel like you resonate with one more than the other, or do you feel like it's like equal parts, like in your soul and
equal parts Rotel, equal parts granola?
Yeah, man. Equal parts Rotel and granola. I don't know, dude. I mean, not to get super deep, but like the idea of a hometown has always been a really novel idea to me, because like, yeah, I was born in upstate New York, but I moved to Houston when I was like 5. Then went back to New York for like a hot 8 months in high school because stuff wasn't great at home. And then I came back for some reason, back to Texas, and finished high school there. And so it's weird. It's like I consider Texas more of a home in the novel romantic sense of the idea, because that's where I grew up. You know, it's where I drove my first car and shit like that. But aside from that, I really like brisket, so maybe Texas is cool. But like, I love my family in New York. I don't know, they're all really, my family in New York, they're country folks. I mean,
your dad's a carpenter.
My dad's such fucking shop teacher and a carpenter in the summers. So it's like, yeah, it's like he built decks and roofs and houses for people, and then we would go camping. But like, you know, where he lives now, he's got 80 acres surrounded by dairy farms. I mean, it's a working class group of people.
It's like Willie Nelson. I was listening to him talk about just like life in general. I think it was for this Austin City Limits thing that he did this last year, where he did like the keynote address, or maybe it was South by Southwest, and he was saying you got to get up and earn the day.
Yeah, true with anything. I mean, it's easy for people to look at our industry as like we just drink beer and play guitar all day or whatever.
2 shots and half a podcast.
I mean, there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, I think I have the best job in the world, but there's a lot of work to it. I mean, you got to put the time in. There's no substitute for time in our industry, no matter what you're doing, whether you're building a record label, trying to be a freelance guitar player, fucking artist, like whatever it is, you're never not working. That's also really hard to juggle. That's tough.
Yeah, you don't have the time to like not be, because you just want to be. You just have to be working.
At any given day, there's something I should be doing for work. Mm-hmm. But like, you know, especially when your income depends on it, well then like if you say no to something, we're like, well, you lost money. Yeah. And that idea is tough sometimes. But like learning how to prioritize relationships, and like, I don't know, we're all not fucking 22 anymore, you know? I like to spend time with my girlfriend. You obviously like to spend time with each other, not like working.
Yeah, for sure.
You got to be able to separate that and like build a garden, mow the lawn, fucking go to a farmer's market. You know what I mean? Like
start your sourdough starter and bake.
Do normal shit, because like you got to have that fucking balance, or else it'll eat you alive.
Yeah, but it also, you're not nearly as productive, I think, if you only are doing music. If you only are doing that, you might be good, but your like head isn't in the right place. I always feel like you have to like, you know, you have to balance being a normal person.
I mean, if you want to be a songwriter, you have shit to write about.
Yeah.
Yeah, working is part of living, but it shouldn't be like the main thing, which is actually a really interesting segue, because right now we're technically all working, but we are spending a week right now in Cloudcroft, New Mexico, doing this Nikki Manos project for our homie Ironfist here. And it's super rad because, Dave, you even being able to come out here and make the time with everything you have going on is so rad, because it really, having us all together, I mean, none of us, it's been about 2 years, I think, since all of us have been together, maybe even 2018, I think, 2019.
Yeah. Probably would have been sooner, but then the world ended.
Yeah, and so this is even, like, I think our first, like, all 3 of us are now vaccinated. It's, like, our first time really being able to, like, go somewhere. It's really nice to just get out of the city for a little bit and clear your head and come to a creative place, and even though we're working, we're still a really nice place to get away from. Just be.
Yeah, dude. I mean, this is definitely work.
Yeah, we have a schedule.
Well, it's work in a sense that, like, this is what we do for a job. I don't know. It's a fucking cool job, man.
And like, how dope is it that we get to do it together? Because honestly, my whole thing, having this community and being able to have friendships with you and also being able to create and be super badass doing some really awesome music stuff or creating content together is like, that's the stuff, that's the legacy you leave when you eventually depart this world. It's super rad. And if you can speak to people like that, it's fantastic. And I think that's what you both are doing.
Yeah, but you also gotta, like, the thing that I agree with all that. I also just think it's like we are able to kind of, Dave and I are able to work together, but also be friends at the same time. It's kind of like how we learned how to do it, I guess, at the same time. Like, we learned how to be like this.
Well, you and I have always been really competitive with each other.
Yeah.
Like, extremely competitive.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
In, like, the most healthy way, though. I mean, yeah, dude, I mean...
I tell her this all the time. I think about, like, if we're back into the school days, we would, like, be doing homework. Like, he would be doing homework and be like, oh, I'm going to do my homework. Or, like, I would be practicing for something, and Dave would come home and be like, oh, well, I'm going to go practice something.
Yeah, like, fuck you, dude. Sweet. Like, you'd be like, hey, check out this beat I made. I'd be like, cool, fucking damn it, I'm going to go write a song or some shit. And, like, I don't think we even really thought about it that way.
It wasn't like an angry, like, malicious thing. It was just like, it was like friendly competition in the best sense of the word.
It's like encouragement more than anything.
Yeah, it was more like...
It's also stimulation because, again, like you guys were talking about, it's not like you just freely meet people all the time in your day and age or just in the world that are as passionate as you guys are about this, like, specific line and career that you both have decided to go into and pursue, and even me to a certain extent. But when you meet people like that and you really connect on that level, and not only that, like... you know, the alma carta idea, like cut from the same cloth. Like you guys fundamentally down in your soul, like have a lot of similarities and like share a lot of that together too.
Well, I think Dave and I, a lot of times are here to work. We love to play. We have a lot of really good times and we have a lot of fun. I mean, him and I, some crazy stories together. but we also work really hard. Yeah. Like the last time we saw Dave, we were doing the release show for Just Whiskey.
Secondhand.
Shout out to Just Whiskey and Emily But we were doing that show and we were putting that whole thing on, and it was very stressful because it's like all originals. We have to fill the place. We got to prove to the venue that it's actually worth it, what we're doing. We took over their kitchen, which probably wasn't super cool.
Everybody's drinking CBD cocktails.
We're doing CBD cocktails.
Good.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you're doing almost all originals except for a few covers.
I mean, 2 covers.
Yeah, you did like Waylon and something else. And it's just like, go and do it, you know? And so that was pretty stressful, but it's also really fun. So, yeah.
You and I both have a sense of, like, just get it done. I don't know. If you want something, put the work in. I mean, not to quote American Aquarium here, but they have a song called, the refrain is, the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Right,
like,
yeah.
That's what makes, like, doing this kind of stuff really cool, is, like, being in a place where it's super comfortable and going back to even, like, how that stimulates creativity. Mm-hmm. Feels really good being here. And so on that note, like, I want to make it an even better experience, so I think we're going to play a little bit of a game, and I think we're going to pull out, like, the stops and the stops. So if y'all are ready, I think we're going to strap in for a new little Rabotat radio segment.
Dave seems ready. I don't know if I'm ready. I feel like I'm already
Rabotat's Hot Ones, man.
It is Rabotat Hot Ones.
Except we're calling it something else. We're calling it Watched or Wasted. And basically, what this game is, so I'm going to start pouring some shots while I describe this game. But Watched or Wasted is a concept game where basically I'm going to give each person a genre of film or TV that you like, that might be your favorite of this grouping, and if the other person has never seen it, they have to take a shot. We're going to do 5 rounds of this.
I'm trying to figure. Okay.
It's opinion. It's about sharing. It's about sharing the things that you enjoy, sharing the things that you love, and also hopefully getting Nick drunk, because if it's maybe obscure enough or maybe it's personal taste, you never know.
So wait, okay, if you're gonna ask, okay, so you're gonna be like, new girl?
No, I'm basically gonna be like, all right, like, give me your favorite TV series that you binged over quarantine.
Okay.
And if you were like The Office and Nick was like, oh, I've never seen The Office, then he would need to take a shot.
Okay, all right.
And the last one, you have to take 2 shots, because the last one is going to be the trick round.
Trick round?
Yeah. That's for you, sir.
At least they have my brands.
You ever seen The Office in Russian?
Turkish? Star Wars?
Yeah, Dave over quarantine learned Turkish.
Specifically Turkish.
Yeah, by watching The Office.
Amazing, I love it. All right, there's your shot, sir. So Dave is rocking some tequila, Nick is rocking some whiskey. Let's see who's really frigged up at the end of this. This is also kind of interesting too, because I'm just also curious to hear recommendations from both of your sides, but I don't know. Let's see. Let's see how on
You
this
should do a
thing.
video of this power stance you've got.
Like, well, I'm not drinking. I get to sit pretty while you guys.
Alex is the coach, but she's got like a power stance.
Yeah, and I got an Angry Orchard, so I'm here bringing my best self. So.
There it is. Power stance going to be Orchard. That's the first single for Melatonin.
Oh my God! Shout out to Melatonin Lotion, Dave's future. Dave's future.
Anyone listening, if you're having a hard time trying to sleep, or you're a little stressed out, maybe you got dry skin too. I mean, they make melatonin lotion. And you will sleep like a baby. All three of us have learned that apparently on this trip.
We're also all like 30s.
I'm going right to...
Yeah.
God, that's how you know you're 30. You're talking about what's your favorite sleeping? Melatonin lotion, a glass of red wine, I'm out, man.
All right, gang, you ready?
I think so.
I don't know.
All right. I'm going to start with the first category, and I think for dictating who's the first person to answer, I think we should do rock, paper, scissors.
Oh. Good. Just a sudden death?
Yes, sudden death, rock, paper, scissors, to who goes first.
1, 2, 3, shoot.
All right.
You go first, right? Or I go first?
You're going to go first.
Okay, it's advantageous to go first?
You're going first, and then for the next category, we'll switch places. So our first category is favorite superhero movie.
He's already seen it. I already know he's seen
You
it.
can't just give us an answer, too. You have to have a little bit of, there should be a reasoning.
It's Batman Returns. And the reason why is because I think it's an incredible movie. I love all of the gothicness of that movie. I love the Christmas feel of it. I love Danny DeVito as the Penguin. The music's incredible. And when she turns into the Catwoman, when she repeats what she did, Selena Kyle, Michelle Pfeiffer, repeats what she did in the very beginning, except after she falls, she's all fucked up. And she just has a mental breakdown. It's one of my favorite moments of a superhero movie or a superhero movie. There's no superheroes in this movie. They're all just heroes, I guess. Heroes and villains. But I count it, and I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
And you've definitely seen that movie.
Totally
right?
seen it. We were just talking about it.
Yeah. But what about you on your side, Dave? I mean, I know, again, you guys are
What's
just
my favorite superhero movie?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, dude. Probably the Christopher Nolan Bane.
Okay.
I
So,
think that might be my
Dark
favorite.
Knight Rises.
I like the really darker side of superhero things.
Yeah, me too.
That grunge.
I don't like the it loses me when it gets to some of them get too slapstick.
Or too just middle of the road.
Yeah.
Again, I'm telling you, man, it's a movie can be it's just if it's creative.
Yeah.
If it's good or bad, if it fails
Right.
or not, doesn't really matter. But it's if you're doing something, it's not the standard. Those two movies,
Yeah.
these two Batman movies specifically, are very different movies from any other superhero movies. Really, there isn't really. I mean, there aren't a lot of Christmas movies superhero movies that take place over Christmas. There aren't a lot of superhero movies that take place in that kind of world. In the end of the Dark Knight Rises. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen it. I have the DVD upstairs.
Very cool. Very cool.
Should we just do a shot anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Cheers for Batman.
It's a Batman.
Talk about advantageous.
See, my inner
They
kid
are
would love
taking
that.
willing shots of things they don't need to. All right. We are a record label. I'm curious to know, Dave, you get to start. Mm-hmm. What's your favorite musical in a movie form?
Ooh.
Musical in a movie form,
Yeah.
a
My favorite musical?
It has to have been put to film. What is your favorite musical?
Okay. I'm not a huge fan of musicals.
I'm
I already know what it
For
is.
some reason, I'm not.
I
surprised.
already know
I
what you're
think
gonna
you've already know what it is. Yeah. I'm going to sound like fucking total cliche bullshit.
He is.
Probably Across the Universe.
I love. Okay, no.
So good.
I love
man.
that movie. Me and him have had our conversations. Whenever I need a feel good, that's the one.
Dude, when Blackbird in the movie, when it's just an acapella, it's beautiful.
Evan Rachel Wood is poetic. They're all incredible.
perfect, dude.
All right.
I don't know if I've seen yours.
Yeah, you gotta
so-
try to be kind. But what is your favorite musical to film?
I'm gonna say the producers, both the original and the remake.
Wow.
Never saw the original, but I saw
Okay.
the Will Ferrell one.
That's fine. And your dad looks like Will Ferrell.
Yeah, it's spooky.
OG.
Watching
So-
my dad
OG.
play a singing fucking Hitler.
Nazi.
That's a little scary.
Yeah, I love that movie. I think it's hilarious. I've actually,
so weird, man.
it's one of the only musicals I've ever seen in theaters. I've actually
I think
seen.
I saw that at theaters too.
I saw it in theaters, but then I actually saw it in a theater, the actual musical.
Oh, okay.
I toured London years ago, in
Yeah.
2006, and we saw that musical. And it was hilarious. It's actually way funnier on stage. At least the actors and everything. It was There's no celebrities. It was just like London. I don't know what the London Broadway is, but they were amazing.
London Way.
All right, so we are also at Rabotat kind of big on the horror genre, of course, but I'm going to ask you both very specifically, starting with Nick. Anything from the 1990s horror, which movie would be your top of 90s horror?
Oh, that's pretty easy. I mean, like, I want to say Scream, but I'm going to say Candyman because we watched it recently. Okay. I think that movie is fucking-credible.
I never saw it.
Oh, my God.
So you can take a shot. Nick, you can explain a little bit more about Candyman.
I'm going to say Candyman because it reminds me of one of those, I mean, it's by Universal, if I'm not mistaken, and it reminds me of, like, one of those old school, like, Frankenstein, Dracula movies, werewolf movies, but it has that same kind of tone, and it's talking about, like, class, racism, like, you know, like these different things. But the style of that movie just has that, like, gothic tone. Tony Todd, who is the Candyman, he's an amazing actor. It's like a role that he's made to do, and it's incredible. Like, it's so poetic. Honestly, you'd love it. It's so good. Like, it's definitely a mindfuck of a movie.
Well said. A mindfuck of a movie. Candyman.
Totally.
This is why you don't do poster logos, or not logos. This is why you don't do
taglines.
Poster taglines. Yes.
I think that would be a good tagline.
Oh. All right, Dave, your side. What do you think?
Favorite 90s horror movie?
Yeah. If there's anything specific you...
Man, I don't know horror movies like y'all do. My mom and I are really into scary movies, though. What?
God. I mean, there isn't a lot in the 90s. That's also why she's...
I'm trying to fucking think back, man.
It's not the decade for horror movies.
Like, if you were to tell me 90s Dylan, I'd be like, yeah, gotcha.
90s Dylan?
Wow.
Yeah, I could fuck with 90s Dylan.
I couldn't tell you one 90s Dylan song.
It's like, but like...
Okay, you got Scream. I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah, honestly.
Final Destination.
Yeah.
Final Destination. That'd probably be what I really do like that movie. Yeah.
Oh, dude. Well,
I have seen that.
Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah. Nick's giving you everything.
Yeah.
Do you like,
Yeah. Dave's Cafe. All right. What is your favorite Keanu Reeves film?
Oh, man.
I think I might have an idea, but I really don't know.
I mean, if it is, my gut is you've definitely seen it, but I mean, probably The Matrix. I really liked The Matrix. Was my favorite movie until I was like 15.
Cool.
Wow, that's not what I was going to say.
Really?
But I have seen The Matrix. No.
Oh.
I don't know why, but I was going to say Point Break.
I never seen Point Break.
Wow.
Oh, because I'm going to say Point Break.
Never seen Point Break. Wow, this is just...
I'll do a shot with you, though.
There
For
it is.
Keanu Reeves.
For Keanu Reeves. There it is.
This guy's got some
I'll
range.
even take a little swig from Mr. Man.
I don't know. It's like the 90s Keanu Reeves movies. Because, I mean, like the 2000s, he had a little bit of a lull. He had some things happen, but it's really the 90s was like Keanu Reeves' time. It's Speed, The Matrix, you know, Bill and Ted, Point Break, like all these movies.
Well, John Wick was a comeback for him, right?
Yeah, it really was. But yeah, we're gonna have to watch that later on a side note.
I think after we film, we should probably.
It's really good. It's
so
funny
good. It's
too,
an easy
man.
one to,
And it's got my favorite actor from Romeo and Juliet, John Leguizamo.
I love John Leguizamo. He's the sloth in Ice Age.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fucking love that guy.
And we also have our homie Theon Greyjoy, Alfie.
Theon Greyjoy's in it.
Alfie Allen's in it.
In Point Break?
No,
sorry,
the other one. John Wick.
Oh, okay.
I was like, damn.
We can watch Point Break too. Point Break is the Patrick Swayze surfing robber movie.
Okay.
This is more of a musical line question since you both are musicians, and in honor of us being in Cloudcroft. And kind of, you know, we started our weekend watching some Waylon Jennings live show performance stuff. Mm-hmm. So, Nick, you're going to start this category.
Oh.
The category is, what is your best live performance show done by an artist caught on film? Something that you have on DVD, maybe you remember seeing it back in your
just
time.
Favorite live, like, filmed performance.
Did you buy DVDs of like performances or anything like at Sam Goody or anything when you were a kid?
All the time.
Okay, yeah, me too.
All the time. This is why I wanted to ask you guys, because I feel like both of you probably did this.
Me too.
So I'm curious to know like your obscure recommendation for what you really because of all these things too. I'm sure some of these things were like iconic, influenced you guys. So for you, Nick, what would be the one memorable one?
All right. I'm gonna go ahead.
I know what you're gonna say.
Do you?
I got two. I think I know what you're gonna say.
Well, the one I'm going to say is Black Sabbath Last Supper.
Yeah, okay. I think you're going to say that one. I actually haven't seen it, though.
Really?
I haven't seen it, but you talked about it a lot in college. We never watched it.
Yeah, so Jay Chavez, I was going to say Jaime, his real name, but you get mad at me. Jay Chavez.
Yeah.
Jay Chavez bought that for me in middle school for Christmas. And we watched it, and it was pretty life-changing because it was like, okay, so I'd been to like a few concerts at that point, like maybe 2 or 3 concerts, but it was the first time I'd ever saw like a whole concert where they film it. And I mean, I didn't even really realize that it's like 3 different concerts, like kind of in one. Sure. Like there's different takes and stuff. But yeah, I like something about that. It was just like, it was their reunion. It was supposed to be their last show, which if there's anything about bands, any band that says it's their farewell tour or whatever, never believe it. It's always a lie and it's a marketing gimmick, you know, because they're going to.
Now I'm like 30 years after that.
They totally did like a few years ago.
That's what happens.
Like when I was a kid, but it was so formidable to me because it was like I had heard these songs and it was to actually see these guys play those songs was really great. And then when I actually saw them live in 2006, it was like life-changing because I was like, I know these songs and they're doing it and I'm here and I'm seeing it, and it was like a connection moment.
So mine's probably a solid tie between 2, but if I go with my gut, I think I know which one. It's gotta be. I think it's gonna sound like I'm gonna sound like a fucking total Berkeley douche.
I know exactly what you're
John
gonna say.
Mayer's Where the Light Is.
You knew it.
Yeah.
Nick, have you seen it?
No.
Good. You haven't seen it?
Yeah, yay!
I definitely have not seen it. I've listened to the CD with you, but
dude, that fucking he does 3 different shows. I think it's such a true testament to who he is as an artist, and I honest to God think, looking back on it, it's probably a desperate attempt for him to prove he's more than a bubblegum pop guy.
Did you ever listen to the Dead and Friends?
Dead and Company?
Dead and Company.
With John Mayer?
Yeah,
I saw him. Yeah.
You saw it?
Yeah, it's fucking dope.
Wow.
It was incredible.
Did you ever see the Dead before that?
No, that was my first time seeing the Dead. But everyone I know that has seen other Dead and Company shows say that John Mayer is the best person to fill
his spot.
Jerry's shoes, which is fucking
that's a good compliment.
Tall order.
Really nice compliment.
Dude, like, I was reading an article recently about John Mayer's prep for that gig. Apparently, Bob Weir sent him like 300 songs. Mm-hmm. And he was like, learn all of
I heard that at the same time.
John Mayer's like, all right, you're Bob Weir. Fucking done.
Because they just kind of go into the songs. So you just kind of have to know the whole catalog.
But the bitch of it was, I guess Bob had sent out all of the set list, or like a rough idea of the set list for an entire tour, and it was the same like 17 songs. And she was like, fucking kidding me? But then like out of nowhere, Bob would be like, Ramblin' Fever, Merle Haggard, here we go. And in front of like 30,000 people. Mm-hmm. So John Mayer had to be like, you know what I mean? Like it's like with John Mayer and the Dead, the thing about John Mayer is that as a utility guy, the dude's a fucking incredible singer. Mm-hmm. Like harmony singer and lead singer. Yep. So his ability to blend in with those guys as a singer was really fucking cool. Like,
and cool to see, man.
It was dope, dude. I was literally weeping when they went to Stella Blue.
Wow, really?
I remember, like, I went with Emily, and we were at Bridgestone in Nashville, and she turns around and she's like, are you fucking crying? I was like, no. Fucking
You're crying. You're crying, Emily.
I was like, fucking, dude, I was like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, man.
Okay, so I actually have a question about Grateful Dead really quick before you move on to the... you have more?
Oh, no, that's it.
That was it? So I know people that have not been able to get into the Grateful Dead. Like, I haven't had, like, a big Grateful Dead phase. Like, I've listened to them with you. I love, like, Tennessee Jet and some of the other stuff you showed me before. What's that Freeway song? Or, like, Boogie song?
Oh, New Speedway Boogie.
Yes. I love it. And I also love the album with the rose... You know, the skull and the rose.
American Beauty.
American Beauty. Wow. So I love that album. Okay, I grew up with that album. My mom had it. Mm-hmm. But how do you, what would be your advice for some people to listen to them? Like Jay, our chef homie, hates the Dead. He's like, I don't really understand. I doesn't get it, Yeah. And I've talked to a lot of people. It's not just him. Like, I haven't really gotten into it. Like, Alex hasn't really listened to it. What would be your advice? Like, if someone was going to listen to it, what would, like, someone's like, why do you like the Grateful Dead so much? And why should I listen to it? And what should I listen to? I know that's kind of a tall order.
A loaded question in a lot of ways.
I know.
I don't know, man. I think me with the Dead, the reason I got into them was so situational.
What do you mean situational? What's situational?
I was fucking 19. And I was like...
How did you find them? Like, out of all of the music, like... I always find that so interesting. Like, musicians are not... Like, anyone we work with Rabotat, everyone is so different. I really don't know anyone... Even like my really good homies like Jay or you, I don't really understand, like, we're all so different with our music tastes. Yeah. But we're all about the same age and we all have things that we like together. But your influencers are so different.
Well, at the end of the day, I think we're all music lovers. Well, Jerry Garcia is one of the most accomplished musicians, I think, in the last, I would dare say, 100 years.
What makes that?
He's fucking student of the craft, dude. Like, Jerry Garcia was obsessed with music. I mean, he did the Dead stuff. Even before they were the Dead, they were the Warlocks. They, like, took over the San Francisco scene. His guitar playing was so painfully innovative, but he also, like, could go toe for toe with any fucking jazz head on, like, Wes Montgomery stuff.
Django?
Yeah, like, really, of all the gypsy jazz stuff. Yeah, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, he was a really accomplished bluegrass musician with David Grisham. I mean, like, it was
the New Riders.
Dude, he did everything. He was a
pedal steel,
incredible mandolin player. Bob Weir was his guitar student and took Bob Weir on the road when he was like 14 or 15 or some shit like that. But, like, I don't know. I think when I was listening to the Grateful Dead a lot, and I still love the Dead, I'm not, like, diehard Deadhead like I was, but I think when I was listening to them a lot, I was looking for something more than what I was listening to on a daily basis. I think I was looking for innovation, like, okay, John Mayer's cool, Clapton's tight, Stevie Ray Vaughan is really cool, Bob Dylan's great for writing, but, like, what's, like, the evolution of this? Like, what is this? What stretches beyond this? And then I remember Dylan did a tour with the Dead, and the Dylan with the Dead live album, was a really cool bridge for me to get into that.
Wait, hold on. So did Dylan play with them, or is it...
The Dead were basically Dylan's band for, like, a tour.
Okay, so that's kind of interesting. I mean, like,
yeah.
I don't know if Jay likes, Bob Dylan either, but I do, and I think that's pretty interesting. Like,
that was my bridge to it.
That's interesting.
It was like...
That's interesting. I'm not, I don't really... I can't even hear that.
It's weird. I mean, but also, like, Dylan...
What year is this? Is this, like, mid-70s Dylan? Like, 80s Dylan?
No, it was probably, like, 72.
Oh, so
73.
It's like... Wow, so it's, like, really when the Dad and Dylan are, like, at their height with...
Yeah, like, the top of the fucking game. But I could always get into the Dead because they just seemed to, like... They just blissfully liked what they like. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, there's really nothing like them. I mean, that is something that I definitely know from the Grateful Dead, even if you don't really know. Like, I haven't listened to any of the live albums. I mean, maybe something with you on a road trip or something.
I'm sure. I mean, I know I've shown you, like Europe 72 at least and stuff like that. In college, when you went, I mean, you were into hip-hop long before that, but, like, when I was living with you and I was living with two fucking hip-hop DJs, I think part of the reason why I went more and more acoustic and more rootsy is because y'all had your hip-hop thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't fit into that world. Like, I don't.
I'm going to dig deeper.
Like, I'm going to go so far in the other direction. And I ended up really loving it.
Me too. Honestly, when Dave and I would listen to music, we used to do this thing where we would, like queue up songs, or, like if I was driving in one day, we'd do my playlist. Another day we'd do his playlist.
We listened to driving in? Fucking Bob Dylan's radio show.
That's another thing too. Dave and I bonded over that.
That's a gem of the internet right there.
That's very true.
Bob Dylan, if you ever listen to this. Yeah, Tom Waits. Bob. Or Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom. Tom. Are you like Bob?
Bob Dylan had this...
Think about some birds.
Just this blissfully, beautifully, maniacal, awful, great radio show that he did in like the back of his tour bus.
Yeah, we just imagine a mountain of like used cigarette butts just in an ashtray, like piled up, while he's just sitting in like his bedroom or something with like one of those old radio microphones that you'd see with like looks like one of those old like RCA microphones.
Yeah, like the weird retrofitted SM57 things.
Yeah, and he's like, thanks, Tom.
Dude,
Today got 3. You take 3, you divide it by 6, you multiply 1,000, and you divide that by the square root of 4, and you solve for cosine, and you get 13, which is the name of this song.
But then he would do these like weird fucking cuts of like Zoolander samples. Where like it'd be like David Bowie's scene in Zoolander. But like, we're gonna do a dance off. Then he'd go to like a Bob Wills song.
You'd be like, what is this guy doing? Yeah, that's actually a really good point. We did do each other's playlists, but man, in the morning it was always that Bob Dylan radio show, and it was fascinating. Do you know anything else?
No. What do you mean? You guys are the ones who went on a
We did go on a tangent.
deadhead tangent.
I wanted to know all about that because he is honestly the only person I could talk to about that.
No, and it's cool because I think ultimately, I mean, that was a really nice way to end everything too. Because like John Mayer, you saw him with the dad, and like, I think like ultimately where this podcast ends is that there's some very amazing craftsman type people in this industry that have really brought us all where we are today. Specifically you two, but like, in all aspects, like these people are iconic across the globe with so many different people. So yeah, shout out to all the people who are making it. Shout out to the people who've made a life out of their music and who've spoken to people and inspired people and are able to be the ones that fill in a conversation with the 3 of us here tonight. So if you guys are cool, we'll do one more cheers. Actually, we never distinguished this, but there was a clear winner to Watched or Wasted. Nick is Watched and Dave is Wasted.
I'm actually, I think, more wasted than Dave.
I don't know.
So even though I won, I guess.
Coasting.
Yeah.
I feel like
Okay.
sitting down is really good for me right now.
Yeah, getting up's going to be scary.
I think where we're all off to next is definitely some couch sitting, definitely maybe a little John Wick, maybe a little something comfy, some jams. But I want to send my thank you to everybody who listened today. Thank you on behalf of all of us at Rabotat. We're so happy you joined us. We're the Rabotat fam, and we're super stoked that we got to spend this time with Dave. So thanks for being a part of this and for being party to our bullshit, but also all of our love, man.
Yeah, man. Happy to do it. Love y'all.
Yeah, you too, man. Cheers, everybody. Have a nice night, and Rabotat Radio. What?
What?